Hello everyone, I welcome you all in the video series of Raspberry Pi. My name is Dr. Sheesh Ahmed. So in the last videos you have learned so many things about the Internet of Things IoT, about their need, their characteristics, how the IoT evolved, what are the different communication protocols used in IoT. Okay, and in the last video, you saw about the Arduino. So in this video, I will show you I will introduce you about the Raspberry Pi, how it is different from Arduino, what is the different versions of the IoT Raspberry Pi, and also we will saw the hardware configuration of one of the Raspberry Pi version. Okay. So the first question here arises, what is Raspberry Pi? What is need basically? So Raspberry Pi was introduced in 2013 and its name is Raspberry, that is name of fruit also, the name of the fruit of course. Why its name is Raspberry? Because it's a tradition that companies is now putting their product name on the name of the fruits like apple, jelly, and strawberry. Okay, operating system. So in the same following the same tradition, they put their name as a raspberry. Okay, and pie is not a dessert basically. It's a pie is basically here sounds Python interface. Okay, because this Raspberry Pi module is also support Python apart from C, C++, and Java. Okay, so why this product has been invented? The reason is that it was invented basically for the education purpose. Those who are not able to purchase the CPU because cost is high as compared to the Raspberry Pi. If you go to the market and purchase a high configuration system, you have to spend about 20,000 to 1 lakh. Okay, and almost we cannot replace the CPU with Raspberry Pi, but at some extent, Raspberry Pi can be used in place of CPU for education purpose. Okay, so in the Raspberry Pi, you can do almost all the things that as in CPU that you performed in CPU. For example, you can program everything, you can store the files, you can access the files, you can play the songs. Okay, you can play the videos, you can browse the internet also in Raspberry Pi. So you can do almost all the things uh, uh, with Raspberry. Okay, and if you talk about the comparison with the Arduino and Raspberry, so Arduino is having uh, low processing, low memory as compared to the Raspberry Pi. Raspberry Pi is 64-bit processor. Okay, having the 64-bit processor. So that's why it is much advanced as compared to the Arduino. Arduino is basically, you can say, a limited capability embedded system. Okay, having less processing capability, less memory. Also, the Raspberry Pi having different from the processing capability and the memory. It is having various interfaces also. You can connect the keyboard, your mouse, your monitor, your desktop, uh, uh, Ethernet cable. You can connect Ethernet cable with the Raspberry Pi. Okay, Wi-Fi module is there in Raspberry Pi. So almost you can do all the things using this Raspberry Pi. Okay. If we talk about the introduction to the Raspberry Pi, uh, the Raspberry Pi is a tiny computer system of the size of the deck of cards. So simply you can size is very small as compared to the CPU. So you can put this Raspberry Pi module or the kit in your pocket also. So you can carry this kit from any place, from one place to another place very easily. It is a system on a chip which integrates the CPU, that is Central Processing Unit, GPU, Graphics Processing Unit, in a single integrated circuit with RAM, USB ports, interfaces, and other components soldered onto the board for an all-in-one package. Okay, so everything you will get on a single chip, that is also known as embedded system basically. Okay, so you can get the CPU, the graphics processing unit, RAM, USB ports, everything on a single chip. So in the coming videos, I will show you the practical aspects of this Raspberry Pi, and we will perform some basic operations, basic practicals using the Raspberry Pi. And further, you can also design some projects based on the Raspberry Pi. Like you can design a home automation system. You can convert your simple TV into a smart TV. You can design a robot or a drone also using this Raspberry Pi. Okay, so um, home automation means let you forget to switch off your washroom lights and you're on the bed, so you don't want to walk to your washroom and switch off the light. So you can use your Raspberry Pi, and using this Raspberry Pi you can connect with your switch, and simply you can off your lights from the bed also. Okay, so um, okay, let's go ahead. The second point here is not having onboard storage, but it has an SD card slot, so you can use to keep your operating systems and files. So this Raspberry Pi have RAM, but it's not having any secondary storage. Means hard disk or any SSD. Okay, so you cannot store. So you have to use an SD card, which must hold the operating system of the Raspberry Pi, because obviously to run any system you need an operating system. uh, okay, for example, if you want to run your computer system, obviously you first of all install the operating system in the hard disk, and then you boot your system. In the same way, Raspberry Pi also need an operating system, but we don't have any hard disk to store that operating system in the Raspberry Pi module. So we can insert, there is a slot that is given in the Raspberry Pi module. So you can you can put that SD card in that slot, and uh, but before putting the SD card you must install the operating system in the SD card. Flash the operating system in the SD card, then put that SD card into the given slot of the Raspberry Pi, and after that the Raspberry Pi will boot uh, um, on the will be boot by the operating system that you have put in the SD card. Okay, so there is basically you can say no internal memory, secondary memory. So we put an external memory, that is an SD card, in the Raspberry Pi module, which must have the operating system, and you can also keep your files and folders in the Raspberry Pi, sorry, in the SD card. Okay. The third point is the Raspberry Pi is small, doesn't use much power, and is inexpensive board. Okay, clear. Fourth point means here uh, for the power supply, you can simply to for the power supply to the Raspberry Pi, you can simply use the cable of your mobile charger. So you can through your mobile charger, simple mobile charger, you can give the power to the uh, to the Raspberry Pi. So 3.3 volt to 5 volt supply is sufficient for the Raspberry Pi, and don't use the fast charger because it can damage our Raspberry Pi module. Okay. So fourth point is many models of the Pi have been released, some with multiple revisions like Raspberry Pi model B Plus, which improved the previous model B's networking capability. So I will next slide I will show the different versions or different revisions of the Raspberry Pi module. Okay. The latest Pi at the time of this writing is the Raspberry Pi 4 having a speed of 1.5 gigahertz. So you can see the speed. Quad core processor we are having. We have a GPU also. We have 1 GB of RAM. So you can set up 4 GB of RAM. Sorry, you are having a 4 GB of RAM in that Raspberry Pi 4. So you can see the capability of the Raspberry Pi 4. The hardware configuration is almost matching with the hardware configuration of the simple CPU. Okay, and you can see the price. The price varies from $5 to $35. Basically, this price is from lower version to the higher version. Okay. Now here you can see the different generations of the Raspberry Pi. It was introduced in 2012 with Pi 1 Model B, and every year the this model has been upgraded, and the current version of the Raspberry Pi module is Pi 400. Okay, so here I will use Raspberry Pi 3 model B plus that was invented in 2018, because I think that this model is having enough capability to perform the operations, to perform the it has enough capability to design for the designing of the small projects also. So in the coming videos I will use Pi 3 model B plus Raspberry Pi uh, for the experiments. Okay, so that's why I have uh, put that particular model B plus Pi 3 model B plus hardware structure um, that is displaying at your screen. This uh, Raspberry Pi 3 model B plus is the latest product of the Raspberry Pi 3 range, boosting a 64-bit quad core processor. So you can imagine the 64-bit processor um, and running at 1.4 gigahertz dual band, and it is having Wi-Fi, it is having Bluetooth, it is having the Ethernet capability also. Okay, so here these are the here in this picture we can see the hardware configuration of the Raspberry Pi 3 model B plus, and we can see the different components with different parts of this Raspberry Pi. So I will explain you physically what are the different parts of this Raspberry Pi module. But here let I introduce the parts of this Raspberry Pi. So here you can see, yeah, two cross two USB A ports to PC. So in the hardware configuration of the Raspberry Pi 3 model B plus, we are having four USB ports. We are having four USB ports. So these USB ports can be used to connect your USB keyboard or mouse, okay, or any other device that is having the USB port. So you can connect maximum four USB devices to your Raspberry Pi kit. Okay. Now here the second component is Ethernet output. So here you can use your LAN Ethernet port and connect it with your Raspberry Pi. So this Raspberry Pi will be connected to your LAN, your internet also obviously, and simply you can use RJ45 connector for that connecting. Okay, simple connector that you use in your laptop for connecting the internet or the desktop uh, connector. That connector, the same connector will be used here for the Ethernet connection. Okay. Now here 3.5 audio and composite output jack. So audio jack is here. You can listen the song. Okay. Camera slot is here. CSI camera slot. HDMI output is also given. HDMI is basically high definition multimedia interface. Basically, whenever you want to connect your monitor or the desktop, okay, to the Raspberry Pi, you can connect it from this HDMI port. So generally, the monitor is having the VGA port, not the HDMI port. So in that case, you have to use a converter that converts the VGA into the HDMI, and you can connect in this way you can connect your monitor with this Raspberry Pi. Okay, so this HDMI output is used for the display unit to connect the display unit. Okay, this is 5-volt micro USB power. So as I already told you that you can give it is a it consumes less power, so you can use your simple mobile charger to give the power to our Raspberry Pi. So a simple charger of 5 volt can be used for the power supply of our Raspberry Pi. So that and that charger can be used to plug here for the power supply to our Raspberry Pi. Okay. Now there is another regulator is given on the Raspberry Pi for the less power consumption. In that way, when our Raspberry Pi is in ideal case. Okay. So there is another display connector is given here. We will not use it. We will use this HDMI port for the display. Okay. Broadcom BCM 2835, that is here. Okay. So we have the processor here. Okay. Now yeah, there is another slot that is behind. There is a slot of the SD card that is not visible from this view. This is simply this slot is given behind this picture. I will show you when I will show you physically. Okay. So Ethernet controller is given here. This is very important. 40 GPIO headers. Very important. So we have a 40 pins GPIO pins is given in the Raspberry Pi, and these GPIO pins are used to connect different types of sensors. For example, if you want to sense something from the environment, you can connect that sensor with using these GPIO pins. So I will show you in the coming videos how you will use this GPIO pin to connect the different types of sensors. Okay. So next, so these are the specifications of the Pi 3 model B plus. means those models that I will use in the coming videos for the practical. Okay. So here you can see we are using the processor Broadcom BCM2837, and it's a 64-bit processor which runs at 1.4 gigahertz. If you talk about the memory, 1 GB of SD RAM is given within the Raspberry Pi module. If you talk about the connectivity, we have a Wi-Fi connectivity in the Raspberry Pi 3 Model B Plus. We are having Bluetooth connectivity, okay, and also we are having the 4 USB ports to connect the different devices, okay. Access extended 40-pin GPI header is given for by which we can connect different types of sensors with our Raspberry Pi module. Video and sound connectivity is also given here. We can use HDMI port to connect the display unit. Also, the camera port and display port is another display port, DSI port is given here. Camera port is also here. Okay. If we talk about the multimedia facility is available here. So in the because we are also using the graphic processing unit GPU. Okay. That's why multimedia we can perform the multimedia operations here. Okay. SD card support, micro SD format for loading operating system and data storage. So here we use here in the Raspberry Pi module, no internal secondary storage is given. So we will use an SD card where we can put our operating system, we can put our data and files in that SD card, and the slot is given in the Raspberry Pi module where we can insert that SD card in the Raspberry Pi module. If you talk about the input power, 5-volt power is enough. So you can use a simple USB charger of the simple mobile charger, and you can give the power. Okay, I will show you. And it can operate between 0 to 50 degrees centigrade. So it is environment friendly basically. Now these are the hardware configuration. I have already explained all the things. Okay, GPIO pin, USB socket, power source connector, display unit. Now I've also show you the difference between the Arduino and the Raspberry Pi module. The reason is that why Raspberry Pi module is here. I will show you Raspberry Pi module is better than the Arduino because of the processing capability, because of the memory, because of the another thing. So one by one I will cover the point. The first point is in Arduino, control unit of Arduino is from Atmega family, and here the processor is in Raspberry Pi. The processor belongs to ARM family. Arduino is based on the microcontroller, and while the Raspberry Pi is based on the microprocessor. So if we talk about the difference between the microcontroller and microcontroller perform the they are designed for the specific operations. Okay, and here everything is built on a single chip. Okay, but here in the Raspberry Pi we use the microprocessor, the same microprocessor that you use in your smartphones. Okay, so you can by microprocessor you can perform different operations, not the specific or the not for designed for the specific application. You can use different applications using the microprocessor. Arduino boards have a simple hardware and software structure, but Raspberry Pi boards having complex architecture of hardware and software. Arduino architecture is generally used with 8-bit, and Raspberry Pi CPU architecture is 64-bit. So here you can see a big difference between the Arduino and Raspberry Pi. The processing capability of Arduino is 8-bit and Raspberry Pi is 64-bit. So 8 times. Raspberry Pi is 8 times faster than Arduino. If you talk about the RAM size in Arduino, the RAM size is about 2 kilobyte, and in Raspberry Pi 1 GB maximum. You can use 4 GB, up to 4 GB of RAM in Raspberry Pi. So here also you can see the huge difference, the advancement of Raspberry Pi over the Arduino. Okay. Processing the clock, the processing speed is 16 megahertz, but in Raspberry Pi 1.4 gigahertz. The cost of Arduino is cheaper as compared to the Raspberry Pi. But if we compare the Raspberry Pi with the computer system, you can get the cheaper price as compared to the computer system. Okay. Arduino does not have internet support, but Raspberry Pi is having inbuilt Ethernet port, Wi-Fi support, so you can easily connect your Raspberry Pi with the internet. Now in Arduino, some of the application of the Arduino are traffic light, countdown timer, weight machines, etc. But in Raspberry Pi, you can use the Raspberry Pi for the motion cameras, for the game server, for the robot controls, or for the home automation. I've already told you. For you can convert your simple TV to smart TV. You can design a drone also using the Raspberry Pi. There are various applications of the Raspberry Pi. So thank you very much. So in the next video, I will show you the hardware configuration of the Raspberry Pi and how to install the operating system in the Raspberry Pi, and after that we will start the programming in the Raspberry Pi. So thank you very much. Uh, okay.